Canto 24. Capheus' words were sticking to Cal as they reached the elevator. That, and Lucy being Lucifer, the two ideas were like dueling banjos in his brain. "I don't think this was here before it was pointed out," Sophie said as she pushed the up button. "Yeah," Cal replied absently. "I didn't see it either." Then with more purpose, he said, "You know, I never really went to church. My mom is DOC and my dad was Jewish, but in reality, I'd call him atheist or agnostic. My mom made us go on big holidays, but..." The door slid open, revealing the side of the pit. "Guess we're climbing," Sophie noted before adding, "But what?" "Dad always said belief was something you figured out on your own." He finished, following Sophie past the elevator doors. "He said you don't need people to figure out what you believe. It's perfect just the way it is." Sophie stepped on a rock. "This will work best if you follow me. Just step on the same rocks I am, but be careful because you have weight. I don't." Cal nodded. Sophie nodded back. Taking another step, she asked, "You said you could perfect your belief all by yourself. How's that working out for you here?" "Not well," he confessed, taking his first step. "I just don't know one way or another when other people getting into your beliefs mess them up so much." He took another step and felt the stone give some beneath him, but not enough to cause alarm. "It's just that I don't see the point of church." Sophie had taken 2 steps for his one, and in his need to keep up, quickly took a step, slipping and falling a little. "Cal, are you all right?" Sophie turned, giving him a hand to help him grab. Taking it, he stood. "Yeah, I just need to be more careful." "Like I said, just take my path and you should be fine." Sophie brushed the dust off Cal. "Ready?" "Yeah," he answered. Then she began to climb again. And this time Cal paid more attention to each step, making sure his feet only touched the stone she solidly stepped on. Only now there was a new problem. She was brisk. The further they rose, the more Cal could feel his heart beating and his breath becoming harder to take. She even looked back once and, seeing how far behind he was, quipped, "Keep up." Cal should have told her he was struggling, but pride was getting the better of him, and he pushed on. Could he die in hell? Maybe he'd find out. With all the horrors he'd seen recently, it really would be sad if what did him in was an uphill climb. Somehow, he didn't think that would be the case. The more he walked, the more he realized it was much easier to fall into the pit than it was to get back out again. Thank goodness he had Sophie leading the way, even if she were going faster than he wanted. Cal took another step, and this time he felt the rock slide from beneath him, and his whole body fell with it. He felt himself start to slide down the hill. "Sophie!" He began, jamming his feet into whatever he could jam them into. The rocks on the side were more than just pebbles, so he caught his foot and then lost his footing when he felt her once again grab his collar. "Thank you." "Careful," she said, helping him up again. Cal dusted himself off. "I'm trying," he barely spoke, because he was still out of breath. His chest was beginning to burn from the exertion. Sympathetically, Sophie explained, "If we don't move quickly, the ones above will see us and shoot us back down." Cal looked up to see sentries on guard with bows and arrows. That's why she was booking it. "Okay, I get it. Let's get out of this." Sophie gave a questioning nod. "Really, don't want to find out if being shot with an arrow feels like, so let's go," Cal affirmed. Sophie then gave a nod of understanding, and the two were at it again. This time, to hide his breathlessness, he tried to talk. "What do you think about church?" Without a hint of exertion, Sophie asked back, "In relation to belief or in general?" Cal was thinking about his statement, but was curious. "Both. I think there's no perfect human belief. It's in sharing our beliefs we collect what is right and together find a piece of perfection. To Cal's horror, she seemed to speed up a little while talking about belief. Church is the library of belief, while also being the body of Christ. We gather to find God in one another. Your dad seemed to follow an idea that all beliefs are right, but that's just as dangerous as one person being the speaker of all belief. That's how cults are born and people die. Sophie stopped to Cal's relief. I guess I see church as a tool. In the right hands, it can move mountains with very little effort. In the wrong hands, it can salt the earth. Meanwhile, Cal was getting a hang of walking up the ditch. While at the beginning, he needed Sophie's steps to know where to climb, he began to see where her feather-light weight couldn't predict his much heavier steps. He could see how he would either need to skip a step or take another one. Sophie continued walking. I don't think I'm going to go to church when I get back, Cal confessed. Partly, he felt a need to let her know, but he was also curious what she thought of that statement, especially after knowing who sent them on this journey. Especially after being here. It feels like there's so much about it that has nothing to do with belief or God. It's just bloated fat. They had reached the base of the bridge, and the last little bit would require cooperation. As Cal went to boost Sophie, she said, "Then do me a favor." "What?" he asked as she scrambled to the top. Holding her hand out to pull him up, she answered, "Find a group of people that will strengthen your beliefs while you strengthen theirs." "That's it?" he questioned, struggling to pull himself up because he was exhausted. "It would be easier to just go to a church." And with that, Cal fell to the bank with a thud. He immediately attempted to stand, but Sophie held her hand up. "It's okay. Sit and catch your breath now that we're up." Not even attempting to hide it, Cal groaned his relief and flipped around slowly so he was lying on his back. Sophie nodded and continued. "There's a reason church persisted, even in its least divine times. We're lazy. Most humans don't want to work at building a community, so they just drop into a pre-built one." "Does that mean you are for or against church?" Cal asked as he wheezed on the ground. Sophie considered it. "I don't think that's the right question. I'm not for or against churches more than I'm for the people within and without them. It's like to believe God feels the same way. I think church specifically, the institution is paint by numbers. I know so many people need to be told what to believe and how to believe, just like many buy coloring books to color someone else's art. That also doesn't mean everyone needs to have the coloring page." "Did you need a coloring page?" "I did once, but now I draw pictures for others to color. Are you ready to move on? You sound better." "Yeah." "Let's move on," Cal said, slowly sitting up. "We're not going into any more pits." Sophie smiled and shook her head. "Good. It's too easy to get in them and it's too hard to get out." "Yes, it is," she agreed, and they continued on their journey.